Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rusty here. Welcome to Impact Dynamics Live. We're here for your Tuesday night, and a big night it is. Thanks to everyone who tuned in last night. We had a lot of fun doing that. Maybe pretty self-indulgent, but we enjoyed it. And I actually had a few comments today of people like to know the history of how we all got to where we're going. But anyway, here we are. I'm seeing a bunch of chat and banter in the chat box on YouTube about ranges opening up, which is great to hear. We've been discussing that for the Monado range here about time slots and how to book and all that sort of gear. So that should be happening here, but starting to see that everywhere. And I think it's pretty common to see that the time slots is way for the bigger ranges. We've got 210 members or something, and we've got the ability to handle 30 people at a time. So the only fair ways to do it is to try and divvy that up as much as you can. Anyway, so guys, and no doubt if you can get on the range, do it. But yeah, there will be some restrictions for the time being. What else can we tell you? Stage 1 is presenting the show tonight. You guys are probably familiar by now, but Stage 1 do all the merch for Precision Rifle Series. You can find their merch at precisionrifleseries.com.au, and this is the latest hoodie from them that is about to come out. It's on pre-order at the moment, but this is the Stealth, the S1 Stealth hoodie. Which looks like that. I'm looking forward to them. They should be end of May. I believe they're half sold out of the pre-sale now. So jump on and away you go. Away you go. All right, back into it. But you can use the code IDLive10 and to save 10% off the hoodie, off the shirts, off the hats, off everything there on the website. So go check that out. Thanks to those who have ordered. This is the last week of the show. We'll be wrapping up on Monday night. Next week will be the last show. It'll be the Team Impact wrap up, and this will be not the end of whatever we're doing here. It'll be the end of this format. There will be some other things in the works that will come out, but we'll take a couple of weeks off and then get back into the new project. Looking forward to that. But we've got a massive week coming up. So tomorrow night we've got the Bearded Chap. Very excited about that one. I'm looking forward to having a chat to Luke about their business, about what they've done through this period to stay busy. In fact, I believe even employ more people and all that sort of thing, and find out if the rumours are true that he does shoot. We'll see how we go with that. Steve Hurt joining us again, our resident reloading expert, is here on Thursday night to once again wrap up all your questions and delve into the world of intermediate ballistics, which is talking about what happens when the bullet leaves the barrel. All that sort of little process there that seems so small and so minor and has such a significant impact. Anyway, so that's happening. Tiff Dew out of the UK runs all the precision stuff going on in there, and he will be with us on Friday night to talk about that while they're still in lockdown, I do believe. So that's the plan for this next week, and then coming through on what are we going? Coming through on Friday, Sunday night. I think Ben is putting something together for Sunday night, and then Monday we'll be doing the Team Impacts wrap up and the wrap up of this format for the show. Also, you guys need to go and subscribe now to the Long Gun Project, which is somewhere here. Come on, there we go. There it is. Subscribe to the Long Gun Project, which is Ben's channel and is good, and no doubt will get touched on tonight with our chat with Richard. Oh, look out. Jonesy has joined the chat. This is going to go downhill extremely quickly. But before we get to that, guys, one thing we'd love to be able to do is to bump up our Instagram. Completely selfish, completely self-indulgent, but if you've got Instagram and you're on your phone now or whatever it is you can do, jump across at Impact Dynamics and go and follow what's going on, because when the format changes with this show, we have got some plans for Instagram. So you want to be involved with that, go and do that. But more importantly, subscribe to the Long Gun Project, because that's Ben. He's been helping. All right, let's get into tonight. Tonight, my guest, I can't say too much because they'll just get ripped apart in the chat. But tonight, he is a gun guru. There is not much this man doesn't know. In fact, he's probably forgotten more than I've ever known, and I don't think he's forgotten anything. So he is well and truly. He was in charge of testing and evaluation at Lithgow Arms for many years. Did all sorts of projects and bits and pieces, but has moved on to greener pastures for the time being. But his what's retained in his head, his nice shiny head, is full of absolute wisdom. We're going to delve into it tonight. One of the things I have to say about this guy is that he is one of those background guys that continue to build the community, to network people together, to put people in touch with other people, because he just wants to see the sport of shooting and the love for shooting grow. And that is one of the he's got a massive amount of respect for that, on top of his a huge amount of knowledge. But we can't talk about too much because he'll go red and then start releasing more albums. So we'll bring him on right now. Richard Basladynski, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm going.
That's a very, very good intro. Thank you. The $1,000 is in the mail.
There we sweet and ka-ching. All right, done. And that's it for the show. Thanks very much, guys, for joining us.
And it's done and over.
Very
Jonesy,
good,
if you notice, I did get that photo today. It's just there floating behind me, and I've got it quite a place in the study.
Oh, we'll have to just go to a bigger shot to be able to see that. It's a photo of Jonesy, is it?
Yeah. Hang on. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see that. Very nice. Oh, look out.
Look at that, Jim. You can't see under his head, but...
Oh, good. All right. You are copping all the flack from your former team colleagues in the chat. I think there is.
I can see ports. Thanks, mate.
A significant.
I think I've been fortunate to work with a lot of good people.
Plus those guys as well.
Say again?
I said a lot of good people, plus these guys in the chat as well.
Yeah, plus those guys. From starting about 14 years ago, then starting the team with Mick, who you've met, who's like the stalwart of the team, then picking up some excellent engineers and ports. There's Jazz and Hendo and Jonesy and Carl as well. And I've had a fantastic time working with those guys, like the qualified engineers coming through as grads and working their way up and going on to do their things. Been fantastic to watch, and trying to grow the community as well. And I've been like that all the way through from when we first met 5 or 6 years ago at the first show.
Absolutely, mate. Whether it be the overall shooting community or just your core team at work, I've certainly seen that reflected in the way you present yourself, the way you handle yourself, and the respect that people have who have worked with you, except for Jonesy. But anyway, aside from that, we need to delve in. If we just
because there's the Demir I've got a lot of, and Ian as well, because they've gone out. They've spent their own coin, got their own business up. So why wouldn't you support an Australian business? Demir, we went to uni. I think he was in third year when I was in first year.
Yep.
But he's gone on, and it's funny, we came back to the industry and we bumped into each other a couple of years ago. It was pretty cool.
And
you've got guys like Dave Dupree at Carl's, Harness at Swarovski, Jamie and Ash at Night Force. They're all of the same ilk. They want to put back into the business and back into the sport, which I really respect.
Absolutely. We should just say Demir is connected with Southern Cross. I'm going to get the names wrong. You Small Arms? Have I got that right? Have I got that name right? Southern Cross Small Arms?
Yes, Southern Cross Small Arms.
Yeah. Yeah, good. I was just making sure I got but that's Demir who makes chassis on the global scale for Legacy Sports. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly
good
is
to see Demir, going forward and striking a name for himself.
Absolutely. Well, mate, we would be remiss if we just bagged out the people we used to work with for the next hour. Although as much fun as that would be, because we've got the microphones and they don't. But we need to make the most of some of your history. Now, you got referenced the other night in a chat I had with Ben about his project is a generous word for it. I believe you have a different name for his rifle.
What, the tent peg?
The tent peg, yes. And so the...
I was going to leave it. I was just going to leave it very broad there and just refer to him as the guy that I refer to as blowjob and his tent peg. But now you've blown that.
we'll go specific. You talk to him now. I know why you call him that, but everyone else thinks there's a different reason. We'll move on. And so he talked about different ways of measuring accuracy and whether or not you are accurate. And I guess a big part of your job has been obtaining data to make correct decisions, and so accuracy would be a big part of it.
100%. And what people don't, there's two parts, right? So the accuracy is one thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have consistency. So accuracy is the ability to put a group together, but the consistency is the ability of that rifle to keep forming those groups time after time after time. Now, I remember where in my previous work, we had a projectile locating system, so it was really cool. You could isolate shots and do a whole heap of stuff, and it spat out a lot of X, Y, and data, which is what I need, and that's what I love. I'm a bit like that with maths and numbers.
Yep.
I think Jay will back me up on that. But go out and fire 5 groups of 5. 25 rounds later, there's a single group. It's 25 shots fired. That's not 5 groups of 5. So statistically different. So the numbers and how you form groups do matter. So when Ben showed me the first data set, I always want to help out. I always want to help out my friends. So Ben and I have formed a pretty good relationship over the last 18 months. Mm-hmm. And he spent a lot of money on the rifle, and of course you want to see it work well. And he had some skewy for results with the rifle. And I said, right, well, next time you go out, shoot five groups of 5 rounds as the minimum data set.
Yep.
And then we'll start looking at the numbers and manipulating numbers. So he did that and came back to me. First thing I did was put those numbers in an Excel spreadsheet to make sense of it. And I started showing, because he was worried about velocity, but his velocity was actually really, really good. And his velocity spread was like 5 meters a second, plus or minus 5 meters a second, which is awesome. Most manufacturers try to get between that plus minus 15 meters a second to plus minus 30 meters a second. Holding it that tight's really good. And we're trying to get to the bottom of, did the rifle shoot or didn't it?
Yep.
He tried a couple of different variations. So next time he went out, he came back with the data set again. That's when I sent him the spreadsheet and showed him what the numbers looked like in a graph that actually meant something. So the first thing was the velocity, and you could see that the velocity spread was really good. But the consistency, so that rifle shot 0.9 from memory without going back to my spreadsheet. Mm-hmm. And the SD was 0.31 MOA. Well, speaking MOA in group size. But the second one, he wasn't happy with. But when I saw the data, I went, well, that's a lot better than the first lot of data they gave me. So he actually shot 1.1 minute on that rifle, but his SD was 0.01 MOA. So this is where you need to start looking at the good example, or to give is that 1,000 meter challenge you did with the guys a few months ago. Mm-hmm. So if you look at that target size, because that was 1.9 MOA, I think we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, it was two MOA target at 1,000 meters, so it was just beyond 1,000 meters to bring it down a little bit.
Yeah, I just bought it just under an MOA. Yep. So with his first data set, the group looked good, but when you applied the 3 SDs, somewhere in that group of 25, he was going to miss. Mm-hmm. But in his next one, although the group size wasn't as good, it was far more consistent. So that rifle would have shot that load at 1.1 pretty much all day because it was nice and narrow. So what do you go for? Do you go for the more accurate rifle, or do you go for the more consistent one? You obviously try to strike a balance between both. But for me, when I was talking to Ben about the data set, the second load was the one for me because it's so consistent. I would have just shot day in, day out. Yep. So when you, again, refer to that target that at 3 SDs was 1.8 MOA, so it would have hit the target all day, whereas the first load would have dropped a shot. So what? So what does that mean when you're shooting? You don't know because you're sitting behind the glass and someone makes a call. So you've got to understand the noise. And I think Ben knows, he hears me say this all the time, same with Alex from Wedgetail. You've got to understand what the noise of the rifle is, the system. So the rifle, the scope, the ammunition, and the shooter. So can you hold half a minute or can you hold 1.1 all day? And what's the relative target size of distance? So with that first load he would have dropped a shot. And then what do you do as a shooter? Someone makes a call behind you and goes, oh, no, 0.1 right. And then you start, although your group, if you're dead on target, will fall on that and take up the whole target plate if you form a natural group and just shoot 10 to 20 rounds on it. But if you start chasing it, then you just multiply the problem by whatever the wind call was or the directional call was. And that's what I mean by, understanding the noise of the system. Third group wasn't that good, or the third data set, but is learning. When you're spending $7 a shot, and you're asking a mate to go out and fire 25 rounds at $7 a shot, it starts becoming expensive.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
You want to make better informed decisions when you're on the range. Now, if you remember that first PRS comp at Mildura when we were on the mound, there was one of our guys was on the ground. He was doing his group in 0, and he was holding with a factory rifle, factory ammo, 0.3 MOA, and all of a sudden, like that, the rifle just went. And I said, "There's an issue with it. It's not the ammo. It's not you. I can just see you're holding better than half a minute." And it was a rail. I'd asked him to take the scope off to have a look and tighten it. Didn't want to because he was happy with his setup. Although it was still better than a minute. It was starting to wander. But my experience told me something had changed in the setup because I understood the noise. And next morning, I think you probably remember, we tightened that rail up as tight as we could, and the problem went away. But for the first two sets, he ran a broke scope drill and pretty much used that as a group in 0 practice, and lost out on them. And that was the difference between coming, I think, 15th or 16th and in the top 5.
Absolutely. It's I want to bring you back there because you talked about and just to clarify, because very very quickly you can go very deep, and you want to make sure that you don't let this stuff go past you. And so you talked there about the noise of the rifle being sort of all the factors compiled onto each other that'll sort of give you just at some point you're going to shoot within a certain size, and that's where you're preferring consistency over accuracy in a given circumstance.
Well, I'll always go for consistency, but it depends. Like if you've just spent $6,000 for a rifle, and that's the best you're going to get on any given day, you've got to be happy with that, right? Are you gonna, or do you want to spend another $1,500, $2,000 to take the barrel off and put another barrel on, or do another $2,000 worth of load dev? So when you understand the noise and you're happy with that, and and that's your requirement, like you can meet that requirement and hit that target range. And from the comps what the target sizes are. If you need to hold 2 minutes and you can do that, and your rifle shoots 1.1, so at 3 standards, you're with that 0.01, you can meet that and hit that target all day. Well, that's it. Let it go and be happy with the consistency of the load, or try something else. So I'm currently working through that with Ben. So it's good to be able to give him a hand and help a mate out.
Absolutely. And so
try to help him.
You talked
curtail
about
some of his.
You talked about the SD on a group. Now, most people will be familiar with SD in the format of like your standard deviation on your velocity side of things, but you're talking about it within the group size. Is that right?
Yeah, well, standard deviation is a statistical mathematical term, right? So you can apply it to any group of numbers. So you get the average, and then the calc, if you run Excel, is easy, just like equal STD, DV, then brackets your data set, and they'll spit it out. So what it actually means is when you're in, if guys can remember being at school and teachers talking about the bell curve. That's what the bell curve is. It's from the first to the 99th percentile. So given that data set,
Mm-hmm.
If you keep shooting, you'll fill that bell curve up. So if you're shooting, 2 minutes and you've got a 1.9 minute target, and you fire enough round, you will miss the target. That's just the natural deviation of the group size.
Yeah, through no fault of your own or no other reason, just because your bell curve or your deviation goes beyond the parameters of your target, you're going to miss one. And that's where you talked about if you don't know that, you don't know what the size, the noise of your rifle is, and then you miss to one side, you're like, oh well, I better chase that way, and then you're actually going to expand what this looks like downrange if you don't understand that principle.
That's right. We practiced that at work. Jonesy came in and said, "Let's shoot oranges." Absolutely, let's do that. So challenge yourself with target size.
Yep.
So we're shooting oranges from 560 meters with a factory 223 and Australian Outback 69 grain factory ammo. And we were hitting orange. Then Matt said a couple of days later, let's bring an egg up. Okay, we'll bring an egg. So the lesson there was understanding what the group size was and understanding that the orange was at the boundary of what the rifle and the ammo can do. But when you go to a smaller target object and you start making calls, the right thing to do is to understand the noise and not make a call. Because if you throw enough hot rocks at that point of aim, you're going to hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very good, mate.
But an egg, I can tell you, an egg from 560 meters is challenging.
Yeah, not wrong. So, how do you go about understanding the noise of your rifle, measuring these groups? Because you have a different way of measuring groups than most would.
We still we've talked about this. We do use group size, but the better measure of consistency is mean radius, and that's something we always, when we did stuff for the ADF, that was one of their metrics, and it is the average of the center to the center of the shot group. So you don't do a covering circle algorithm. It comes down to the mass and how you do it. So extreme spread gets the two outliers. That's sometimes not the best unit of measure to use. You want the one that gives you the consistency. Again, you want to be more consistent on average. So, your 1.1 MOA with a 0.01 MOA, that's pretty good. So, but if you take the consistency of the data set, the mean radius is the better use, because it gives you a better indicator of how it's performing.
And is that something people can Google to find that sort of information to how to do it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a pretty standard.
Once you set it up and put it in your, I encourage everyone, if they don't have Excel, to grab it or run it on their phone, and not just to look at velocity, because everyone sometimes can get so focused on velocity, but when like I said, Ben's getting one SD spread of plus or minus 5 meters a second, and he's in tenths in his SD. That's phenomenal. Leave that. That metric's good. You've got that one squared away. What's wrong? So look at the other numbers statistically as well.
Yep. Yeah. Okay.
You'll see. I'm sure Jonesy, the baked bean story. Yeah, nice reports. When I'll be looking through the glass, I'm more likely to have a Schwaro millirad reticle 60 power at work. So you're watching the group and you can see, what the group size is because you can scale it in the reticle, and all of a sudden you get a group size that's triple or quadruple what you've been seeing. You know that instantly that's 3 standards or 4 standards out. So you stop then, and I'm sure Matt and Nick and Carl are sick of me saying stop firing while you're still shooting.
Yeah,
we've just had something go wrong, and then we and then we go back and look, and something's changed in the system, and we try to find out what was wrong in the system, and then keep going.
Do you found that part of your job was to try, push things to the point to, see where they would fail, where they would have problems, and obviously you got pretty good at being able to sort of pick diagnosing problems.
Absolutely.
Are there some of these things that people who aren't in that job, but obviously shoot out of out of for a hobby, for fun, some of those applications that they can use to put into place to try and take some of the lessons you've learned that they can apply in their own shooting?
Yeah, look, it comes with practice, and obviously, looking at seeing a lot of rounds go down range. I mean,
Yep.
I think in 2015, 2016, myself was shoulder firing around 160 to 170,000 rounds a year,
Wow.
and down range with for that year when we were doing qual testing, we would have been over 1 million rounds
Wow.
into the sand. So and that's not just in military work and like assault rifle, machine gun. It's also bolt gun, pistol, and work for other customers. So when you're looking at things and you do a factorial and you see the numbers line up, you look for the pattern. So when you see that pattern again at Mildura on the ground, you say, oh, okay, I can see something's gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And you sort of instinctively know where to go because you're doing that factorial in your head.
Yeah.
I think most of my guys got really, really good at doing a factorial and breaking it down. Or maybe not Ports. He did have the nickname Stackhat, so go figure. When did I look a long, long way back? Come on, Ports, bring it on, baby.
Yeah, that's the thing, Ports, is you had the microphone last time, but now Richard's got it, so you can say what you want in the chat, and that'll just disappear later on. So now's the time. Very good, mate. Very good.
No, I've got a lot of respect for him. He was a really, really, really good engineer, mate.
Yeah, no,
happy to see him go on. And like I said, he invested and bought his own machining centre and gone out on his own. And I try to help him where I can. We were speaking every morning there for a while, and just going through little issues he had, and Demir's helped him as well. So it's like a really, really good community. That's what I like, and especially with the PRS when even when Chungi was running out at Mudgee. I took my oldest boy out there at 12 and 2 weeks, and knew that he'd get looked after.
Yeah.
So Trent needed to fly for him some 6.5. So he said, "Can you come over here?" And in Ports, let him shoot his Ritter and Stark, and Jonesy let him have a shot. So you're happy letting your son go out with those with the community because he's going to get looked after. And it's really good. He had an awesome time. He's beaming for a couple of days. Still is, I think.
Yeah, nice. And I mean that's the other thing that I've certainly sort of seen you, and that's we've connected many times at gun shows or at matches and bits and pieces, and that's really that's another thing that I know that you bring to it. But any more on that that community side of things, because you've been a few. How many PRS matches? Has it been a couple you've been to?
2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3, yeah, nice. And
obviously, work-wise, it's hard to break away that Thursday to make the Friday, and then Monday when you're in Adelaide, or Darwin, or even in Buchan. But where we can, we had obviously commitments to deliver product as well. 105 was a big one for us last year, and I think you remember the conversation. You said, "You're coming," and I went, "Well, do you want us to come down to the PRS match, or do you want 105 delivered on time?"
I do remember that. Yeah, because
that's what we put our time and effort into that and getting it out. And I do miss it. It's only been about 7 or 8 weeks now, but I do miss it, and I do miss the crew. It was the factory was a large family, and it was something you don't really get anymore these days in corporate workplaces. And you may bitch and nag about each other, but if you're having a shit day, someone will put their arm around you and say, "It's all right, man. Come on, let's get on with it." And away you go.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, we had the pleasure of being there for to run a course there, and we were there for the Friday and got the tour and did all the things, and you guys cooked us an amazing roast, and that was pretty memorable having that for lunch on a Friday at work. That's a pretty good way to do it. You guys ate well, at least. Jonesy ate well. At least I can tell that.
Mick's a celiac, and he blames Ports for that because Ports used to, make bread.
Oh, good. I missed out on that, but maybe in due time. Got a question from Jay, of all people, for you.
Big J.
Yeah. With all the rounds you fired, what do you believe makes a long-lasting precision barrel? Steel, rifling, chambers? Any thoughts?
I, all of the barrels that we had, I know we've gone out to, I won't say the exact number, but tens of thousands of rounds in civil rifles. And um, we've taken comparative rifles out, and they didn't go as long. But what we found was that cleaning made a bigger difference to the rifle than actual wear and tear. So I think it was Portuguese 243. I wanted to rebarrel that. Suggested we had a look at it with the ball scope, and it was pretty grubby. Pulled it through with carby cleaner and decoppered it, and then it came back again. Same with Matt, his 204. It started wandering and wasn't shooting the way it was, and they gave it a good clean and pull through, and it started shooting again. We've had chrome lined, given the chrome line barrels that we the old unit of measure for the ADF was 6,000 rounds. We're punching out to 20,000 rounds with those rifles, and it could have gone further. But you're talking about 11 grand worth of ammo. So,
it makes sense.
You've got 4 rifles in breadth. That's so you got breadth of 4, and you got depth of 20. It gets pretty expensive, plus the labor rate on top, because those rifles are shooting about 2,000 rounds a day. So 8,000 rounds down range a day. It gets expensive. So we've gone far enough, and they still meet their requirement.
Absolutely. What's your take us back into cleaning?
I don't know if I answer that question, but it's hard to say. It is hard to
say. Jay will deal with that, I'm sure. But so cleaning, how so when you say cleaning, is that on a regular schedule, or is that just when it sort of dropped off, gave it a really good clean, and what did you do to bring it back?
Jonesy suggested the carby clean. So we went out and got some of that to decarbon, because it does that on vehicles, and it does a pretty good job. And we just use hops number 9, and we were doing some of those endurance trials, just cleaning them every 1,000 rounds.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. So not anything ridiculous, not like cleaning it every 20 rounds or 50 rounds or something like that. It was just when it sort of needed to.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of the group chats as well say, what do I do to run my rifle in? And out of the box, off the shelf, those rifles go into a mountain. They have to fire a minute. That's the requirement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't run. When we get them, in my previous role, when we had them as testers, we just bang straight in, and they either pass or fail the requirement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then we go on with that.
Yeah. So
there's no running.
No specific running.
You just run the rounds into the magazine and start shooting.
Yeah, nice. Did you guys experience anything with barrels speeding up over a couple of hundred rounds at all, or did you not test the velocities in those details?
We track velocity, but velocity isn't a unit of measure that we're specifically chasing. It's accuracy.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, so didn't chase that down. We've
Well, if you're still meeting that accuracy, if your requirement's 1 minute of angle, and that's because that's what you're putting your name against. That's your unit of measure.
Yep.
So velocity isn't relative unless you're talking about long range terminal and what it can do past 700 to 1,200 meters.
Yep. Absolutely, we're getting all sorts of questions. A lot of them are running around barrel. We'll see how much you know about
carbon fiber barrels. I had this discussion with someone.
Yep.
Look, it depends what you're using. If you're using it as a mountain gun, and you're going to be doing a lot of climbing, and you want to keep it down, you're only going to fire one shot. Sure, but if you're in a PRS match, and you're putting down 10, 20 round strings, why reduce the weight and get a carbon fibre barrel and then buy weight to put on your rifle later, because you need to mitigate that recoil. So, once you let the first shot fly, you're in your you need to see where you're, or follow the shot through. It's one of the five marksmanship principles. You have to see where that shot lands to make an adjustment for the next shot. If you're still in recoil phase and your reticle's off and you can't see the target in your splash, well, your muzzle brake can only do so much. So, and having seen people do that, and Ben and I were talking about, absolutely. People buying carbon stock and carbon barrel for a match gun where you will shoot 5 to 10, maybe 15 round strings, and they're adding weight to try to keep the rifle level as they release that shot to pull their shot through.
Yeah. Yeah, it's and not to mention, didn't mention price there either. If you are again hunting gun, you're not going to burn that barrel out over very easily. But if you're comp shooting a bit more.
Well, they do have lower wall sections. It depends on the manufacturer, but there've been a lot of good work put into some of the new epoxies, and Proof have done a pretty good job, and the Hardy barrels from NZ are pretty good as well. But like I said, horses for courses. What do you want to use it for? Find most things like projectiles are the same.
Yep. Have you got any thoughts about hexagonal boron nitride powder? Are you familiar with that?
Polygonal, you mean? Polygonal rifling?
Let's go yes. It doesn't say that, but we can. You can.
And plasma nitriding. I know Steyr run plasma nitriding on their barrels, and a really, really tough finish, really good finish. Looks pretty as well, which is more important. Rule number 1, look good. Rule number 2, be good at it. Rule number 3, if you shoot at 2, be good at 1.
Go with that then. Brad, if you want to clarify specifically what you're after, please do. That's all right. Andrew's asked about he's developed a load for his 6.5 Creedmoor in a 105 that is above the max in the book, but nowhere near any sort of pressure that gives it to us. Can you ballpark a barrel life on anything like that, or is it really?
I'd say when I go by the book, so I know the guys that put the data in the book, and I know the work they put in there. And I always will defer to them. They're the ballistic scientists, not me. And I'm lucky they still answer my calls, which is good.
Nice.
They're the experts at that, and if they say that's a max charge rate, they do pressure vessel tests at my whaler. So whatever they say, I'll go by the book. If I have any issues. And that certainly Ben had that with he was worried about a compressed charge weight, a charge weight with a projectile that would have compressed the load. And Dave said, no, that should be fine. It won't, from what he's seen, it doesn't affect your accuracy or consistency.
Got it. Yeah. And so to extrapolate a barrel life out, if you are running a warmer load, will that reduce your barrel life noticeably?
Yes, it could do, but we traditionally use boxed ammunition, and have to meet our requirements for boxed ammunition.
Sure.
But if you increase pressure, then you put more strain on the system, then things may happen.
Gotcha. Yep. Excellent. There's another one here about chrome line barrels are not as accurate as chrome moly steel or stainless steel barrels. Have you had
I don't know. We did some longer range shooting with 14-inch chrome line barrel, and mount fired. We were shooting 15 centimeter 10 round grips at a true 600 meters out of our chrome line barrel. So that's not too bad as I see it. Yeah.
Okay. Does the job.
10 rounds, 15 centimetres at 600 metres, that's pretty good.
Yeah, does
out of a gas gun.
Yeah, can't complain about that. I'd take that. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Well, thanks for the question, guys. That's good. So what about your shooting, mate? Do you get much time to shoot for yourself?
Not at the moment. I did too much of it at work. I try to get out as much as I could.
Yep.
and spend the time with the family on the weekends.
Mhm.
And I want to try to get out a bit more. I'll be Canberra based over the next couple of months with Jay and some of the boys down there in Canberra. I'll have more time in the evenings now without the 3 hours of travel a day. So
Yep.
I'll try to capitalise on that and go and just do some more recreational shooting and or hunting if I can.
Yeah, nice. What type of hunting do you like, if you can get out?
Those big antlery things that make really good dinners.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you get a chance to do that. Yeah, nice.
I am.
Brothers.
I'm a sucker for a venison backstrap.
Yeah, right. I've heard that. The Brad has clarified that
That was pretty back.
he was talking about HBN powder used on projectiles as a lubricant, supposed to eliminate inconsistencies on cold barrel. Have you done anything with that stuff?
No.
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 No. Oh, well, there you go. Another area you can delve into in future time. I noticed the harassment has died off. Maybe the boys got bored of you not entertaining it.
Oh, I've heard it all. So
Nothing new. Nice.
no.
Now,
Like I was saying to you the other day, and to Ben, one of my best memories was being on that final stage on the cold Saturday afternoon at Mildura.
yes.
With Bornie on one, Bornie and Ports.
Yep.
And just everyone giving. I was in tears. We were all in tears laughing because we were just having such a good time. Yeah. Jay and a couple of the other boys, they were like, "Oh, this is just like being at work." I think I actually shot better because the sledging was just, it was pretty good. It was a good day.
So
very, 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 very good memory.
Nice. So from your scientific research, you covered this in a bit with a video with Ben that sledging improves your shooting. Is that correct?
He left that in there. I'm like, he did get better as he was getting bagged out. So I wonder if there's a correlation there. He left it in because he thought it was gold. But he definitely got better the more people bagged him out because he started concentrating and focusing.
Yeah. You have to eliminate all the noise. Speaking of which, and really focus on what you're doing if you're going to be able to shoot. We actually consciously do it for the guys at our club. If they're a reasonable shooter, we'll start giving them a really hard time during the shoot, and on the basis that if they can focus while we're doing that to them, and it's not uncommon to have about 4 or 5 cameras running on them at one time and all around them, so that they are feeling the pressure, which is good. Yeah. Oh,
Ports has gone to sleep. We want to talk about baked beans and avocado. The avocado is still my favourite, Ian. I don't know if you saw that. We had so we on Fridays at lunchtime in our own time.
Yep.
We used to run high speed video Fridays. We had a camera that could go up to 240,000 frames a second.
Wow.
To understand what bullets did to different target medium and understanding. It was more like teaching the guys about why match bullets aren't necessarily good at dropping things, and that ballistic tip type projectiles that in fact are just a hollow point with aerodynamic control surface on the front of the tip to make them fly better.
Yep.
Because traditionally those big hollow points that are very, very good at stopping things and dumping their energy in target medium don't fly that well because you've got a big hole in the front of them. But the pointier they are, generally the better they fly. And still my favourite is the avocado, because it's what happens afterwards. You can see the projectile get punched the avocado, but it peels the skin off. All the green meat, the avocado explodes, and the flesh is gone, but the stone just sits there in midair.
Oh, it would be amazing to see. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about the slow-mo stuff, because I know that you guys did use that a bit, and you used that both downrange and on the guns a little bit to see what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a tool of trade, so you use it every day.
Yeah, and I imagine that would have given you.
But when we do stuff like that, there's a lot of learning. It's like letting the guys take laptops home. Like, yeah, sure, go if it makes you better at your job, and you learn how to use Excel and get better data and understand the job better. But what's not to love about that? Same with doing it in your own time and wanting to experiment and understand why things work and how things happen. So when you go out there, you can say it from your heart. It's not like a sales guy saying, hey, it's red because the engineers told me so. You're the guy there. It's red because I put all these pigments in it. And, I mixed it up and put some ginger whiskers in there, and there you go.
Was there some other? I mean, the high speed stuff must unlock a whole world that you wouldn't see otherwise. Is there some interesting things that you found because of that? Obviously, apart from how to smash an Avo?
People have trouble understanding the timing of things. And classic, we did a 40 mil a few years ago. And I remember the video was an extremely high frame rate. I think we were about 50, 60,000 frames a second.
Wow.
And you see the 40 mil launch, and then there's a big vibration go through everything. And everyone went, oh, that's recoil. I went, actually, it's not recoil. That's the moment of initiation. So that's when the firing pins hit the primer and the propellant, which is still a slow burning explosive, goes off. And that'll burn. The burn rate will be between 1,000 to 2,500 meters a second, which is slow compared to the higher speed stuff at 8,000 meters a second and above, up to 14,000 meters a second. So those speeds are really, really hard to get your head around. But when you see it in slow-mo, you think, oh, okay, that's recoil. It's not. That was the moment of initiation. You can see this fine vibration, and what made it look cool was you can see the skin actually ripple as the wave went through it in the hand and then in the face of the firer as well.
Oh, wow.
And then that was in, so the shot was out of the barrel in a millisecond. That was just after that. It transferred through, and then probably about 0.9 of a second, 0.8 of a second, recoil started happening. So everything happens after. By that time, the projectile's already hitting the target.
Yeah, right.
So when we look at stuff, and this is what it's hard to, and I was speaking to Jay about this with some of his boys earlier this year. By the time you've pulled the trigger and if it's already too late, like the projectile's gone. So it's already at the target by the time you're doing stuff to the rifle. It's just understanding that it happens so quickly, and some of the things that people thought may affect the shot may not be relevant because the projectile's already flying, unless you've got, again, that data to prove that you're pulling to the left or pulling to the right and you prove it. But there's sometimes what the rifle does itself in whip and barrel movement and body moving in the stock, which you only see at those speeds at like 9,000 frames a second and better.
Wow.
You don't really get to grasp until you see it see a rifle pulling a stock back. If they go for a lower quality polymer, the stock flex and the receiver flex and pull the whole stock back, and then it starts whipping backwards and the barrel and stock start hitting each other.
Yep.
Hard to believe until you see it. And you unfortunately need one of those cameras to see it.
Yeah, because I mean we're not talking about iPhone slow-mo here that you might use to try and work yourself getting better at shooting or something like that to slow a few things down. You're talking like some crazy level, huge amounts of lights on that sucker to be able to see. But that is
that's right.
That is
it was a classic. We had one that we had Channel 7 there doing something, and their guys like, I'm going to do this in HD super slow-mo, and then we're like, oh, cool, yeah. So what's your frame rate? It's like 200 frames a second. I'm like, yeah, awesome. And that's at full HD. And he's like, yeah, cool. And we're going to do this. We're going to, yeah, sure. And then, then he came into the lab and he saw the lights and he's like, shit. So what frame rate can you go up to? At full HD, about 3,000 frames a second.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, sorry, guys. No, you're right.
Yeah, super slow-mo. Yeah, good.
Yeah, but it's tricky. Like, so when there was a video I saw on that someone posted yesterday of a rocket sled, that's traveling 6,000, I think it was 6,000 meters a second, or no, 6,000 kilometers an hour. I can't remember the unit of measure, but it was fast.
Good.
But they show it at full speed and you can't see anything. They show it at half speed, you still can't see anything.
Yep.
They show it at quarter speed and it's happening so fast that you still can't see it. So that's the point. When you replay those things, people see, like I said, that shockwave going through. Oh, that's whoa, whoa, whoa. No. It's not. You've got to understand the timing of things happening inside the system. It's like when in a gas gun, hammer hits the percussion cap, it pinches against the anvil, you set the binary off, binary sets the main pellet charge off, pushes the projectile out, you go to the piston. By the time you're charging the piston, the projectile's already gone. So everything after that is an after effect. So you still, there are still things happening dynamically, although the projectile's flown and already targeted. Yep. And understanding the timing, 1 millisecond, it's less than a millisecond, it's at the barrel crown.
Yep.
Another second, it's 600 meters downrange. But 9 milliseconds later, the piston's open and closed, and then another 30 to 40 milliseconds, the bolt carrier's gone backwards and forwards again.
Yeah.
It's when you put all the numbers together and stack them, it's just like, it's sometimes hard to get your head around.
It must be so, like, it must be such a you watch it back and you see it in what was a 2 or 3 second process to watch that over I can't do the numbers that quickly, but over a much extended time and be able to actually see each process break down. That would be a really good exercise to be able to do.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's something in the job that you have to have. So I do miss. It was a good tool. It was a good tool, and we learned a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you even talking about the other end where you're watching projectiles hit targets and the different projectiles and what they did. So why is a match bullet not great at opening up on game then? You mentioned that.
Because it's designed to have a very, very good boat tail, and the hollow point is small. With hollow point projectiles or the polytip ones, they open up very, very quickly. So when you look at them in the gel block, one of my favourite produce as a mix between a match and a hunting round is the Sierra Tipped Match King. Fantastic bullet. I think fortunate to working with him at the time when we were doing some work with that particular projectile. A 168 grain for a 308, and it was lifting 22 kilo gel blocks a metre in the air at 300 metres and didn't exit.
Wow, okay.
But dumped all of its energy. All of the energy was retained in 8 inches of ballistic gel. And to see it jump in here, it's phenomenal. But they're not designed, the Sierra Match Kings are designed to be a match projectile. A lot of people do use them to hunt. Yes, they do produce good terminal effect, but sometimes a little deeper. So if you're looking at the term is offset distance, so when the centroid of the temporary cavity actually appears in the target object. So if you're shooting a 168 grain Match King for a rabbit at say 200 meters, the cavity would actually start forming 14 or 15 centimeters after the initial hit. So you look at it with the rabbit, it's already gone.
Yeah, it's gone out. It's punched a hole.
That's right. And if you look at some of the polytip projectiles with the small holes, they actually take longer to function and dump all of their energy. So you might, and that's the difference between punching something with one of the Hornady extreme rounds, hitting a deer and it's still standing because it takes 14 to 15 centimeters for the projectile to start fully functioning and dumping energy. It may not be wide enough to get that temporary cavity in the whole animal, and then it punches out the other side where you get something like the Tipped Match King. I say this confidently because I've seen what they do. They open up about 1 centimeter in, and then all of the energy stays inside. So I think the terminology that one of Jay's guys used was it turned the front of an animal into a waterbed.
Seems appropriate, mate. Oh, seems appropriate. Good.
But the backstrap is still good.
Yeah, that's the important part. Yeah, nice. Oh, very good, mate. I'm just having a little look to see if we've got any other questions. I think there's been a couple of questions about some bits and pieces, but I think they've been answered in the chat about some Lithgow products and bits and pieces, which I think guys are onto that there about production in PRS and bits and pieces. So,
Hey, Tully, how you going, mate?
Questions being handled. Very good. Yeah. There's all sorts of mates of yours in there. Guys are saying they're learning a stack from this show as they're brand new to rifle shooting. Other guys are saying they've been shooting for 30 plus years and are still learning stuff. So,
mate, you've got to be learning stuff. I'm still learning stuff.
Yeah. What have you been learning recently about guns, or have you not been quite as exposed to it in recent times?
Learning that paying $6,000 may give you a very expensive tent peg.
So what you're talking about is leveraging other people's experiences for your own benefit.
Sorry, Ben.
I'm not. I'm definitely not. Oh, very the heavyweight project.
Just trying to help people. I'm trying to help. Try to help people be smarter with their money.
Do you know that gun actually shoots like extremely well, but he won't admit it because that doesn't make good content. He much prefer to string out his viewers in the videos. By the way, subscribe to the Long Gun Project, as you'll see here. But he's actually damaged the gun intentionally so it doesn't shoot. So he's got this story to tell. Because you can imagine he'd be like, oh yeah, I bought a gun that shot really well and I hit the target I wanted to. Mate, his YouTube channel will be over in 3 weeks. You can't do that.
Oh no, it shot really, really well, but that was at 5 meters.
Yeah, that makes a much better story. Oh, very good. Anyway, good. He's a good bloke. Subscribe to the Long Gun Project. We've got it up there. Oh, very good. Now I wanted to.
I've been told I focus a lot on the data and the numbers and the maths. I don't think I'm very, very good at explaining things, but it's what I try to help. And it's what I said to Ben a couple of weeks ago. He's actually very good at telling the story and explaining things in the way that more people can understand. So that's why I'm more than happy to help him tell that story, because he can tell it. I know that's one of my shortcomings, and he can tell it in a better way than I can for more people to disseminate and understand. And they can recall that and play that again to help them make better decisions in how they're going to spend their money, or if they're in a match, to know where they're at in a day. Remember, we talked about a couple of stages to run at the end of the day when you're tired and you're stressed, and you need not only the rifle consistency, but the shooter consistency when you're worn out and gone from stage to stage to stage, to try to keep the skill set up and know where you're at. Am I shooting a minute now and do I stop? Or can I shoot half a minute and get better and maybe blow the stage and get nothing? That's why I really like those no limit type stages, and especially at the end of the day, and combine a few skills in there.
Yeah, absolutely. What sort of I know you guys used to run sort of regular comps, regular little shooting practice sessions on sort of stage concepts. What was your favourite sort of stuff to shoot?
I actually like the challenge of someone bringing something in, like Matt Classic. Really, really cool to challenge. Orange. Why? Because it's hard. Like visible eye at 600 or 560 meters, you can't see it.
Yep.
Through a 24 power, you can, and it's still hard. The dot in the center of the reticle takes it up. So you've really got to watch your shot, and we'll plug in that. And Matt's going, oh, you missed, and we went up and drove up to the stop and had a look, and there were 4 holes in it. And so it was hitting, but you just couldn't see it because it wasn't moving. Again, the projectile was punching straight through it, not opening up. Doing what they're supposed to, flying like a match bullet, but maybe not having enough guts at the end to do anything. But yeah, I think the challenge of that, the camaraderie, and trying to hit a smaller thing from a stock rifle and a stock ammunition nature, to prove that the system could. So when we go to the shows, we can talk openly and honestly about, this out of the box can do this, and it can.
It's one of the things I really liked when you're at Lithgow with the shot shows and the other shows that you guys would attend. You would try and get as many of your engineer guys and testing guys on and workers on the stand as possible, because they're guys who believed in the product, not because it read well, because they'd been behind it for thousands of rounds and knew it shot well.
Yeah, 100%. And last year and the year before, the boss was running we're running a comp between between factory staff to get those guys out there and into it. And I think they did. It's good to have everyone into it.
Yeah, because you talked about it at the top of the show about the sales guys sort of being able to pitch something, and you need those guys doing their deals and stuff, but actually having the guys who spend the time with the gun, know the ins and outs, and can talk on the level with people. I had a lot of respect to see you guys do that, and that was very I think obviously very good for that brand, and but was really real to them. Be hanging out after the show and going, oh. You're actually the guys who test this and check it and build it and put it together, and that's much better conversation to have as opposed to the guy sits in an office and sells it, and you've actually not picked one up yet, which you do get at those shows from time to time.
Yep. Yeah. Every now and then, it's a good thing I think we did as when I worked there and as a brand to push that and get people that were behind them day in day out. Once, like I said before, once you get that, it gives you a confidence in the product because you know you've done it. I can say with my first, I think I sent you the photos of that 15 centimeter disc in January. 105 picked up out of the box. At 0 was still good for me. At 100. Asked Carl what my dial was, and he said it was 6.6 mil. Walked down, loaded 10 rounds in the mag. First one a 9-man dead center. Second one at that 15 centimeter disc dead center. Maybe 2 centimeters high, but good enough from 850 meters from a rifle that's just been picked up out of a rack cold after 4 weeks. And I think everyone had 3 weeks off of not shooting. Yes, even Jonesy over the last Christmas, and did the same. Jonesy got the batter up. Yep, all good. It's a good vote of confidence in yourself and the rifle. And as a mate of mine, Rowe would say, back it up.
Good stuff, mate. Good. Well, we are definitely out of time, Richard. But it's always a pleasure to chat to you and to do it in front of people while you're getting heckled in the chat. It's good. Hopefully, some people can draw some stuff out. I highly suggest people to look up mean radius. If I've got that correctly, mean radius, and that method. I think it's covered in one of the applied ballistics books about measuring groups in that way.
Yeah,
certainly something to
a more consistent unit of measure for a group.
Yeah, I think definitely.
And I'd encourage people to look at statistically, run a spreadsheet. It only took me 5-10 minutes to get one up at Ben and say, look, this is what I see. You're looking for patterns, not just looking at velocity and focusing solely on velocity. To look at both velocity and your group size and their SDs and how they interrelate. So if my velocities are good and consistent, my group size, is changing. What else can be influencing?